To see everybody. Appreciate you coming out. Excited, obviously, we're working through camp, seeing some positive things, but I still think there's a long way to go. I think where we're at a little bit is we're trying to stack those days, as Coach talked about, but one of the hardest things to grab offensively is that consistency level. I'm seeing gains there, but we still have some work to do. But it's been good. Guys have been getting after it, taking care of each other, and really progressing. So obviously we have another great opportunities here at the end of this week. We'll get a little more live action to kind of see guys again in that capacity, which will be good, and then we'll do some stuff next week before we start getting into that first week game prep. But excited about that. If I go to the QBs, I think Payton's playing at a pretty high level right now. I think he's changed his game from a little bit what we had seen in the fall, which is what he really focused on. What his goal was to change that and how he approaches things, and I think he's making some really positive strides. So I look for him to continue to grow in that area. A lot of the things that we're looking for is how he manages the pocket. He's managing the game very well with what we give him offensively. So I'm pleased with him. The other one that's really been performing well there at the QB spot is Noah Kim. Has been really doing some positive things. I think as he's matured a little bit and continues to grow, really. Had a solid spring, but then I think he's followed that up with some great work this summer in preparation and has been performing again at a pretty consistently high level. So I'm excited to see him again when we get in some more live situations to see how he responds, again, how he manages the team and doing that. So those are kind of the top two there, and then the other guys with Payton and the other guys are doing well, and I'm excited about their future and role. So I thought I'd just get the QBs out of the way right away, and then we could go on to whatever else you guys want to talk about. But appreciate you being here. I'll just open it up for questions. Yeah, probably so right now, but that's still I would say somewhat of an ongoing battle, and we'll continue to kind of evaluate that probably in the next 8 to 10 days. But still trying, we try to monitor the reps very, very diligently every day and really giving all the guys a bunch of reps. And so it's a little bit hard to say at this point just because we've really only had that one live deal, and that's where you really get a lot of great information. So I think we'll have a better idea once we get into next week. They're all kind of working in there collectively. So it's really, if I look at the reps, it's been pretty consistent, with so really between Payton and those things, they're all working in there respectively. Not really sure. Again, I've got to get a little bit more information before I handle it officially. But all those guys, I'm excited about them. They got good futures. So I think in the first scrimmage, one of the things that we for the most part did a really good job with the ball, which is the number one goal of the program, is obviously to take care of the ball. So I think that was good. I think you kind of find those certain situations where some of the younger guys got in that first live scrimmage and didn't quite go as planned. They needed to grow through that a little bit. So I'm really hoping, I thought the veterans guys were on point, but I'm looking for those younger guys, hopefully through another week of preparation, to take a big step. Because I think it's some very talented young people, but they've got to be able to do it and do it consistently. And it's probably more than anything from the mental capacity. And so that's what needs to happen, and that's what needs to grow. We did take care of the ball. We showed some explosive, but not enough. And then we've got to, in some situational things, I think we can show improvement. Some things we were pretty good situationally, some things that we weren't as good as I think it needs to be. And so that's always a growing situation, but we're looking forward to hopefully take those steps this week. That's always a challenging part for me, certainly, because I think that the biggest thing and the most important thing is we need to see who we have, and then how we can maybe look at that creativity piece, how we can use the guys. And some of the guys that are somewhat new, there's obviously the newcomers and then some of the transfers we really didn't have in the spring. So now that we've been through, I don't know what even today is or what number of practice it is, I'm getting to get a little better feel of that, of what they can and cannot do. And absolutely, I think there is some changes, and there's different people in different places, and it's our goal as a staff to obviously put those guys in the right spot and have that creativity piece to maybe do a little bit more, because I think the base is very solid. I think the base is there, but now we need to begin to expand for what's good for this team, for the 22 team. I think so. I think, obviously the receiver core is very solid. I actually like really even some of the newcomers, the young receivers have shown some very positive things. They still got to grow. They still got a ways to go, but they're on the right track. Another position that has kind of changed just because of a little bit of where we were at in the spring is, as you mentioned, the tight end spot. We didn't have Tyler Hunt during spring ball. He's been, phenomenal for us. I really, where he's come and where he is playing at a very, very high level right now. We didn't have him at all in the spring because of kind of being banged up from last season. So I think you add him, Malik, DJ Barker transfer, which we didn't have in the spring. So beginning to see those, I feel good about that spot. And then the running back is certainly different, obviously with Ken gone. But it's been solid. I think Jalen Berger continues to progress for me in a positive light. Jarek Broussard is getting back in the groove a little bit. I think there's some positive things happening there. And then the other guys, Jordan Simmons and those, are doing some nice things. So I am getting a better feel for it. I think I had good feel on some, but some are certainly presenting themselves. I think it does a little bit. Obviously, I think the first piece of that starts at the quarterback spot. You have Payton now that's a year older, and his maturity, I think that's a piece that he has to improve upon, is that ability to do that. And I've seen that gain and needs to continue. So I think there's some fairness there. My standpoint on being balanced, I want to be balanced, and we actually were balanced last year. I didn't really try to be, but obviously it helped when you had Ken and those types of things. But at the end of the day, again, it comes back to me, what do we need to do to be successful to win the game? And each game kind of takes a dimension of itself, so to speak. And so I really feel that, I feel we have to improve in throwing the football, right? Not just because Ken's not here. I think that's just what we have to do to be a better offensive team. And I think we're taking strides in that, but I'm never going away from the physicality in the run piece. So again, to me, it's a little bit of a week to week. It's a little bit of the opponent. It's a little bit where our offense at, but we're definitely trying to look at that and see if that can be viable for us. I think it's been good. We were pretty maligned there in the spring, so some of those guys got an awful lot of reps, and so I think the likes of Brandon Baldwin, Ethan Boyd are starting to show some signs. Still, again, in my opinion, have to grow, but that's part of the process that we're going through. So I feel strongly about them. And then again, I think some of the other guys, even the interior guys, the addition of Brian Green's been good for us. He's kind of been all over the place. One guy that I kind of is really done a nice job is Dallas Fincher. We play him at center, guard, tackle. He's able to do it. He handles it from a mental capacity and is doing some positive things. So I think collectively as a group we're making strides there, and some of those young guys are going to have to step up and play. Ephraim's doing a great job. I had a chance to coach Ephraim in college, and so I knew what he was made of, and just really hardworking, very detailed, and that's a room that I wanted him to be in because I knew he's been there. He knows what that room's all about, and I knew he could handle it. And I think right now he's developed a really good relationship with those guys. Again, I think it's a good setup for us, in that position to have him there. So I'm very pleased. I think he's doing good. I think he continues to grow, and I think it's a good situation for us. I think it's very important. At the end of the day, Keon's still young, as you mentioned. So, but when you have, Trey Mosley and Jay Reed and those types of things, he can look to them and use them to develop and grow, but he is, obviously did a great job with basketball in the winter and spring, and then back to us, and he's really growing a lot from where he was in a year, just as a total receiver, from his physicality to his route running ability. And so I think with the other guys, he can hopefully continue to grow, but then also take a bunch of steps that we need him to take. First of all, his knowledge of the game is always been very strong. Obviously coming from the background with his dad being a coach and all that, he's been very good, but he can block pretty much any play we have. He can tell you all the O-line calls, how to block everything from the pass pro, what every route is. And what I see him is, what I need him to do is kind of become that coach on the field where, like, okay, if Trey Mosley or Tyler Hunt runs a route and it's not quite right, he has the ability now to go to them and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I need you to do. And so I think for us as a team, we talk about that as being really, really important. I think he's holding those guys accountable a little bit more, and I think it's paying dividends. So I think that's part. And then just the management of his skill set and where he's at, I'm sure it's whatever. But the game is slowing down, I think, for him even more and more. You can see it how he approaches things, particularly in the pass game. And so I think it's a culmination of all of that. And again, now the hard part, but he's been really good this fall camp, is doing that at a consistently high level. And that's what I'm challenging with him every day. And right now, he's been meeting the challenge. I'm just very confident because when you're around him every day, you see his passion for the game, how he studies it. Saturday, I think, because we kind of have a little bit different deal. So we're over here, using this locker room because things. And I think after the scrimmage, I came over here and showered, and I was coming back. He's already sitting in the QB room watching film. So you just know how he approaches it. So I think that gave me utmost confidence in him to be able to do it. And then I think obviously, but the big step was in certain games, he knew he needed to play better, but he always responded. If you go to the start of the one game where we came back and converted some things on the fourth down, he didn't start out great there, but he got over that and he responded. And he responded in a really, really positive way. So when you have the ability to do that and flip what's happening, I think it really, to your point, really grows that confidence level and helps you take some future steps. Really to test it, I guess I had confidence in him that he could do it. I trusted that he would put our offense in the right position and do what he needed to do to help us be successful. Depth-wise, it's again a little bit of a process there, but I think Tyrell Henry's done some very nice jobs. Antonio Gates very talented. He shows flashes, but he's got to continue to take steps. And that's just with his complete game. He knows that, and he does a pretty good job off the field of trying to learn it. But now, particularly when we get another live situation, or, pretty much every day we try to create that environment, particularly Saturday, I'm hoping that he can take a step from where he was then. But I like him as a player. He shows some willingness, some physicality, and some good skills. Right, yeah. I think as far as Jeremy, I think he's taken a huge step. He looks like a completely different player to me now than what he was in the spring. I think that's a testament to his approach, but also a testament to Coach Novak and what they're doing, how they builded him in the spring. And I kind of forget he's just got here back in January. I kind of lose sight of that sometimes. But what he's done, particularly in the summer, getting his body in position and what he's doing, I think he's taking huge strides. But definitely when you have like veteran guy Trey, Jaden Reed, those guys, I hear Trey Mosley coaching those young guys all the time. And that does allow us a little bit of flexibility to keep them coming and not, I guess, throw them into the fire, but I want to try to get them ready to be thrown into the fire because that could happen in a minute's notice. I don't know if it really changes the approach much because, I really like even Payton, who just got here in January, I challenge him to know just as much as Payton. And so we kind of approach all that together. And so I really don't think it changes much, from that perspective, but because as we're going to need, a lot of times you need more guys. And so I'm trying to develop them all to be ready to go. And that's kind of always been my approach. And so I don't think it's changed a lot, quite frankly. Yes and no. I do think, in that particular position, I think it's, you do have to find other ways to use them. And those guys, and most all of them are, I don't know the exact number, but almost all of them are involved in special teams. And that has to be a part of what they bring to the team, as well as, certain guys, as just like anything, do things a little bit better in certain situations. So then we try to, obviously, if we can favor them in that situation. So yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of by committee in that group, but those to be a great team member and a great teammate are going to have to do other things, if that's special teams, whatever that might be. And we're looking for all those roles to try to make us a better football team. Possibly. I don't know. I think sometimes it can get too watered down, and it's always that balance, if you're kind of by committee, well, man, I can't get in the groove, all that type of stuff. So, I think as time goes on here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think that will present itself and show where we're at. Great question. I think when I look to those things, my mentality is, I'm not afraid of risk at all. I'm not. But also I want it to be a calculated risk, if that makes some sense. And part of it has to do with who I think's on the field and who I'm giving the ball to, who I'm throwing the ball to, who's protecting. And if I feel good about it, I'll be fine doing it. And so it's really a kind of a whole comprehensive look at that, situation, momentum, where I'm at in the game, all those types of things kind of go into it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the players. And if I feel good about it, I'm not worried about the risk. I certainly think if the opportunity presents itself, we would certainly do that. Yeah, you'd like to get that next up, whoever that might be or however that comes out, to get some of those reps. Last year the way it worked, we really didn't have any of those opportunities, and Payton ended up going the whole way. But I definitely, if we can do that, if the situation is right, we will absolutely try to get those guys involved. Right, it's kind of interesting because of just the dynamic of things. We were a very veteran group last year, and Cap was playing, 9, 10 guys, really all the way through, which paid huge dividends for us come October and November when we had some significant injuries and things. So I think it will be a little bit different because we're a little bit younger, but I'm hoping as time goes we can build to that. It's been good. I think you mentioned the key to it is a little bit Samac. He's done well. I think he's playing at really a good level. And the other one that I've been very pleased with, because you never quite know, is Matt Carrick has really been performing well, after his situation there at the end of the fall season. So I think those two are kind of the lead ones. And then the tackles with Jarrett and the guys coming along, Spencer, and all that, I feel good about it. I think they're beginning to gel, and Nick is kind of taking charge of that unit, and because you kind of have to a little bit the center, you're kind of the vocal point of it. With those other veteran guys helps, and they're gelling well.